As we are here in 2019, we row crop right around 1,000 acres, and that would be between where we live here in Clay County, Tennessee, Monroe County, Kentucky, which is right across the line, and Warren County, Kentucky. And then we also maintain pasture land for animals in Bowling Green, here where we live in Clay County, and actually also down in Alabama where I'm from. We've got about 1,000 acres of row crop. We've probably got about 800 to 900 acres of pasture and forage land that we raise cattle on between the three places. So back in July at the Tennessee Young Farmer and Rancher Conference, we were named the 2019 Tennessee's Young Farmer and Rancher of the Year Award here for the state of Tennessee. That's a program that's done through the Farm Bureau here in the state. We were awarded that based on our farming operation and how we've grown it over the last few years, as well as our community involvement, community leadership. I think that one of the biggest things that we did were just trying to set goals on the farm. That's one way that we were able to achieve the farm growth that we have been. I think one of the things about Farm Bureau is we love agriculture in general, and that's just part of who we are. But the Farm Bureau is an organization here in the state that represents farmers and ranchers and the people of Tennessee, not only here in the state, but also in a national level as far as looking at political things that may affect farming practices here in Tennessee and the country. And from the time that we've been involved, we've really loved and appreciated that organization. And so being a part of that organization, being a part of what they stand for, and then also trying to be a part of and doing things here in our community, both from the Farm Bureau perspective, but also just from us being, trying to be good neighbors and give back to the community. So we raise row crops, so corn and soybeans would be our main ones. Sometimes we do wheat, and then we do cover crops behind the crops to try to keep something growing in the ground all the time. And then we also have a livestock portion, so we raise mainly beef cattle. Their ultimate goal is to go into the food supply chain as beef cattle, but we have what would be called a cow-calf operation. So we keep the mama cows and breed them back each year for them to have baby calves, and then those calves eventually would either stay here on the farm as females or go into the food chain. Along with the beef cow operation, we're also a cooperator herd for a ranch in Texas, the Hart Brand Ranch. They raise and sell Akaushi cattle, and so they're one of the Japanese Wagyu breeds. They were brought over here in the 90s, and so that's the Akaushi bulls are what we use on our cows. And so in our cooperator herd role, we have 25 of their cows that we calve out here for them. Sustainability is one of our three keywords in our farm. So if you look at our Acres of Grace, some of our logos and our website, there are three words that we picked out to define who we are, and one is sustainability, two is stewardship, and three is servanthood. We want to raise them the best that we can for them to be healthy and thrive. One of the main things we do with the row crop side is we no-till, so we don't do any tillage unless absolutely necessary. There are times when it is, but for the vast majority of our acres, they don't get tilled. We have the means to be able to do that, so we're not disturbing the soil any more than we have to, which means that it stays in place and is not driven away by the wind or the rain like it would have been in previous generations that didn't have some of the farming technologies that we have nowadays. And that's where the cover crops come in. So when we take our cash crops off, we're always trying to grow something on the ground. And so we're able to cut down on weeds. We're also able to keep nutrients in place in that ground, and so we have a really good nutrient cycle within the soil. And then whenever we can, we actually add livestock in there. So some of our crop fields will grow a cash crop, plant a cover crop, and then graze that cover crop with our livestock, and they turn it into even more valuable manure. So there's really good cycle within that sustainability, and that's something that we try to shoot for. Wheat is one of those things that it can double as a cover crop or a cash crop. We've raised it for both in the past. We've kind of progressed now to where we're doing several mixes, and so in the industry we'll have a grass, which could either be ryegrass, triticale, or wheat, and then we'll mix it with a legume, so crimson clover, winter peas, and then a lot of times we'll add what's called a brassica or another species. So there'll be radishes or purple top turnips, or we try to do several different mixes. If you look at the science behind it, the microbes in the soil love different types of roots. So instead of just going with a monoculture like we raise a lot of our cash crop, we try to give them different things to eat on during the winter. Both of our cash crops would go into the livestock feed sector. So both the corn and the soybeans would go to eventually make animal feed. And then we do some wheat every now and then when the right fields come up for a rotation or if the market is good. Most of our corn is going to go to livestock feed. So we have some local feed mills that we sell some corn to, and they're going to be mainly for beef cattle feed. And then we also sell to a very large poultry feed mill. In our area, there are lots of poultry houses. So some of our corn will also go into their feed to make their feed each day. Sawmill operation, through moss sawmills and our timber management here, we're able to harvest a tree and we make mulch out of the waste products, we make chips, we burn our sawdust for our lumber. Agriculture, the way that we do is just another facet of that, So I think the sustainable part and the nutrient recycling and trying to make use of everything is a very long-term thing, and I think that's just a thing that's just not thinking about right now. Our forest management is, okay, we're gonna manage it this way so that in 15 to 20 years we can come back and get another crop off of it rather than just cutting everything and it being 40 to 50 years. So I think we have the same thing here, just integrating what we can, reusing manures, using the animals to nutrient cycle. I think one of the other things that we do on our farm is technologically based is our soil sampling that we do on our fields are done in 2.5 acre grids. So if we go into a 100 acre field, it would have had 40 different soil samples pulled on that field. And then when the truck goes across it, if it knows that it needs more phosphorus in this area, that truck is able to increase the rate of phosphorus. But then in the areas where it doesn't need it, we reduce that rate back down. So we're just responsibly trying to use the nutrients that we put out. And I think just all just ties together. So I think a really interesting thing too about our agritourism event is April's granddad used horse-drawn implements on his farm, and that was just 2 generations ago. And so we have those there in that barn we're able to show that, but then literally right across the street we'll have our tractors today that are GPS guided, that drive themselves. We have precision planting on our planter that plants within an inch or 2, knows where it's planted and will not overplant in areas. And so I think that's one of the things that we are able to show people is the contrast of not that long ago how people had to farm versus what we're able to today because of technological advances. And so, our story is that that's where we started, and we've just tried to progress each time, stay kind of abreast of the new technologies so that we are better stewards and more sustainable each way that we can be. We all have to eat 3 times a day, but we're trying to do it in the most environmentally friendly, sustainable way that we can. It's one of the things that I love about agriculture is the part that we're able to play in people's lives, and they may never even realize it.